What happens when a single well-tailored suit turns an overbearing supervisor into just another employee? Hello and welcome back to Karma Stories. I'm Rob and I hope you are having a wonderful day today. Today we have a parade of petty genius, counting fruit exactly the wrong way, binge-watching 12-hour shifts, and a backyard makeover that leaves one nosy neighbor buzzing. Huge thanks to our 21 Karma crew members, you all rock. 2 members only episodes are live already, and when we reach 50 members, I'll finally share the much requested story of Rick. If you'd like to join the Karma crew, just hit the join button under the video on YouTube. On to the stories, let's jump right in. This story comes to us from ZZ Del Marco. I wore a suit to work and got my supervisor soft demoted. I'm posting mainly because I'm not a passive-aggressive type, and I'm in disbelief that this actually worked. Ever since I started my job a few months ago, my supervisor, we'll call him Josh, has been micromanaging me. When I'm the subject of criticism, which is often, I try to give him the benefit of the doubt and ask him to clarify. What are your expectations? What specifically should I have done differently? Josh's responses are always vague. Often something to the effect of, just do better. I even had a meeting with Josh and HR to address this, but to no avail. Yesterday, Josh comes to my desk to tell me I need to dress better. Now, I work at a small company, and the vibe is unusually casual. A not insignificant number of people come to work wearing jeans, hoodies, t-shirts, and or baseball caps. I have never worn a hat to work, and I make a point of wearing a button-up shirt with a collar every day. This particular day, I was wearing a long-sleeve button-up flannel, chino pants, and Adidas Gazelles. Other days, I wear loafers and dress shirts that are tucked in. So I asked Josh to clarify, should I be wearing dress shoes, dress shirt, tucked in? What specifically do you want me to change? Josh tells me I just need to dress better, and that I should talk to HR for clarification. So I go into HR and ask, what is the dress code? I get a standard answer. Pants, closed-toed shoes, no sleeveless shirts, etc. I ask, have I ever worn anything to work that poses a problem? HR says, no, you're fine. Because I'm mad and because my repeated efforts to resolve this kind of problem had gone unheeded, I decided to be petty. The next day, today, I showed up to work in a full suit. It's one I keep for events like weddings, so it's fitted and I look really sharp in it. It's also wildly and conspicuously overdressed for the office I work in. I had several interactions with people coming to my desk to comment on my outfit and ask what the occasion was. When anyone asked, only if they asked, I told them I had been told to dress better. This was always met with disbelief. 2 people even said they liked the way I dressed normally. When anyone asked me who the order came from, again, only if they asked, I told them it came from Josh. I was expecting to pull my little stunt for a week just to prove a point and then go back to wearing what I had been wearing before. Word got around the office fast, apparently, because the CEO, Josh's direct boss, came to my desk later in the day to tell me I would be reporting to him now, and that he'd be having a talk with Josh about this and other issues. It's important to note that I was Josh's only underling, so he effectively went from being a supervisor to just a regular employee. I'm on a bit of a high now. I think I'm going to come into work tomorrow wearing a different one of my flannels. Jumping down to the comments on this one, we have one from a user called CoderJoe1. It says, dress for the boss you want to have, not for the one you currently have. Another commenter down below called Krakatoa83 said, wear a tux tomorrow and demote the CEO. So are we saying that being a supervisor didn't suit him? Was he trying to make sure that nobody slacked off? Well done to OP for buttoning up the win on this one. Okay, I'll stop with the puns. They all were kind of off the cuff though. What do you do when the packing line robots start spitting out mangled fruit, but your boss snarls, just count and keep quiet? This story comes to us from Diamond Dust 1. You're only here to count. Hi everyone. I wanted to share my story from a job. I work at a place where we pack fruit. There are about 20 robots that fill boxes with fruit, and there's one position in charge of checking that each robot puts the correct amount of fruit in each box. To explain it a bit more, we basically have to check all day that the robots are doing a good job, make sure each box has the right amount of fruit, and keeping track of which robot packed it. Hope that makes sense. Obviously, since it's heavy machinery, sometimes the robots damage the fruit. So when I'm checking a box, it's possible to find fruit that's been cut in half or otherwise damaged. When I first started, I was assigned to that checking position. It was pretty simple. Count the fruit in each box and return it to the export line. But whenever I found damaged fruit, I used to write it down in a section of the control log called comments, noting how many damaged ones I found. I also started reporting it to a woman from the quality team. She didn't like that. She kept telling me that it wasn't my job, which is technically true, but I thought it was important to say something when the damage was a lot. One day, all the robots started sending out fruit that was cut into multiple pieces. No idea how. So I went to report it again, and this woman confronted me and said, "Your job is only to count, and count. That's it." She said it in a very rude tone and sent me back to the station. Of course, I thought, she's totally right. So instead of getting upset whenever I found damaged fruit, I just counted it like a normal one, closed the box, and sent it down the export line. That's how I spent the whole day, just counting, nothing else. Until the export inspection team noticed there was a lot of damaged fruit already packed and ready to go. The quality managers came to talk to me and asked why I hadn't reported it. I just pointed to the woman and said, "She told me my job was only to count, and count. So that's all I did." And I shrugged. She started giving me hateful looks while the managers told her that this position does need to report damaged fruit and packaging issues. At the end of the day, they moved me to another area, a much better one, where I now do quality too. And this woman can't help but glare at me every time she sees me. Wasn't I just doing what I was told? Just counting? Thanks for reading. Sorry if some parts aren't super clear. I'm still learning English. Jumping down to the comments on this one, we have one from a user called Illuminatus Prime. It says, "Get a pic or poster of the count from Sesame Street and put it in your workspace. 1 damaged fruit, 2 damaged fruit, 3 damaged fruit. Ha ha ha." OP responded to this one and said, "What a wonderful idea." Another commenter down below called Arena Life said, "I need to know if you counted a fruit cut in half as 2 fruits or 1. I can't sleep now." OP responded and said, "I can't stop laughing at your comments. Answering your question, I always count them as 1. Haha." So OP's saying that the robots fill the boxes and every once in a while the robots will break some of the fruit, and then OP says that a whole bunch of the fruit came through and they were all either split in half or busted or whatever, and the only thing I could think of at that point was, who loaded Fruit Ninja onto the computer that runs the robots? When the company axes voluntary time off but halts all production for maintenance, one worker decided to bill them for a 12-hour binge-watching marathon. This story comes to us from AnyPudding1541. No more VTO. So, long story short, my company got rid of voluntary time off last year. I have been with the company for 5 years and have always enjoyed going home early when there is no work to do. However, now we have to use PTO to go home early. I work 12-hour shifts and I love to get some extra sleep. Plus, my current financial situation is very unique and I don't need the extra hours. For the last 2 days, I have been unable to do anything at work because of a work-related maintenance. I can't do anything at all, but I have to use PTO to go home. I have directly brought this up to the person in charge of allowing VTO, and they said that there is always something to do. I can't do anything because of maintenance. Cue Malicious Compliance. I have been sitting in the break room watching shows for 2 shifts in a row now. I'm on the 4th season of Righteous Gemstones, and I've only just started watching it and have only seen it at work. Some people might think this is a dream to watch movies at work, but I would much rather be outside and get extra sleep than be stuck bored at work for 12 hours. Jumping down to the comments on this one, we have one from a user called Attery Glitterwings. It says, "Time to build yourself a nap nook in the break room." Opie responded and said, "No joke, I took a 45-minute nap after eating an entire pizza earlier tonight." Another commenter down below called Attack Moose Gomer said, "I gotta be honest, if some company I'm working for pulled a stunt like that, I would thoroughly enjoy making a free paycheck off of them. I do understand the preference of being outside or resting at home, but free money is free money." Opie responded and said, "This happens all the time though, it's not once in a while." Does anybody else here feel like Opie should have showed up to work with their pajamas and their pillow and told them, "Hi, I'm ready to work today"? I remember in a few of the call centers I worked in that they offered VTO all the time when there weren't any calls in the queue, and frequently I would take it and go home, but then later on looking at my paycheck I'd be like, why the heck did I do that? When a Karen neighbor keeps filing complaints about their overgrown yard, one homeowner harnesses the power of nature itself for the perfect payback. This story comes to us from Tawny Fritz. "I had my yard certified as a national wildlife habitat to spite a busybody neighbor." Our yard is wild. I mean that in the real definition of living or growing in the natural environment. We have no lawn. We aggressively remove and prevent invasive and noxious species of plants and ensure that what grows is native to our area and drought resistant. The wildflowers that grow are things like lupine, blue flax, spiderwort, black-eyed Susan, and sunflowers, among others. We have natural elements like driftwood logs to retain water, and we even have an elk skull in the yard to act as a shelter for critters. There are a plethora of birds, bees, bunnies, and other wildlife. More wildlife than any yard in the area, as far as I can tell. It's beautiful and alive, but definitely not a manicured lawn with perfectly cut grass and landscaping. Last summer, we got a notice from the county that our yard was in violation of some county ordinance. My husband called the number on the notice and got a very over-it employee who let out a big sigh and said he had gotten like 30 complaints from one person for the entire strip of road that we live on. Keep in mind, you can't batch report an area. You have to file reports house by house. So someone had the time and energy to pull up Google Maps and file a report for about 30 houses for overgrown weeds. I checked the county ordinance and made sure everything we had in our yard was in compliance. Things like purposely cultivated, which our wildflowers definitely were. We planted specific species of seeds and we removed whatever's not native. None of the wild plants block any sidewalks, nor do they hang over onto any other properties. Now, knowing that it was someone with way too much time on their hands, I did some reading and learned that my yard has everything needed and then some to qualify as a national wildlife habitat. So I filled out the form, paid the fee, and got my certificate. My husband called the county employee back, who said, "Send me that certificate." He looked it over, thanked my husband for the new information he can use in the future, and closed our case. I now have signs on my yard that announce the property as a wildlife habitat, and the birds and bees get to keep living happily in the wild. Jumping down to the comments on this one, we have one from a user called DHGot. It says, "NPR ran a story years ago about a woman in Arizona who pulled up her grass and returned her yard to a native desert condition. She was told by the county to remove that trash and plant a green lawn. She took her fight to City Hall and eventually won." Another commenter down below called Asgardian Force User said, "Good for you, both the Malicious Compliance specifically and for maintaining a wildlife habitat in general. Those look better than any flat plot of grass any day of the week." I love this story. It sounds like something I should do with my own property because I absolutely despise cutting the lawn. I even looked into one of those robot lawnmowers, but my gosh, they're expensive. I'd have to sell a kidney just to afford one. If you enjoyed today's stories, I encourage you to follow us on your podcasting platform of choice. And if you're on YouTube, hit that subscribe button and please drop a like on the video. It tells YouTube we're doing a good job and pushes it out to more people. I thank you for watching and listening. I hope you have a wonderful day, and we'll see you tomorrow.